Hey, Daryl here. Welcome back to the channel, Sweet Hot Rods and Honey. And today we're going to continue doing bodywork, sanding, hopefully mostly sanding and less body filler on these panels. But we're going to bring the truck out from underneath the lift so you get a clear clearance and access to the top of the roof. And then we're also going to work on the hood. So let's get started. I like having new parts on the front suspension, front end, and the new rear end because this thing rolls so much easier than all the rusted parts. I have it partially out. Just going to finish pushing it all the way out of here. And we just clear the bottom of this rail. So we've got enough clearance here. We got a ladder and be able to stand on there and get the palm sander and also this disc sander, and we'll start to get that roof cleaned up. And then as far as this hood goes, it's been a little while since I've taken a look at it. The bottom side, I'll get this cleaned up and then sanded down. I want to make it as nice as possible because I'll put the hood's going to end up being black cherry color like the rest of the cab. The other side, I don't know what color I'm going to paint it. It may be that same black cherry if I have enough paint, or it may be the midnight black that I have that's going to go on the fenders and the running boards. So let me see. I'll flip this thing over and we'll take a look at the top side. This inside, I've got all that crap removed. It was undercoating all over the place. I just have to sand underneath here, get maybe the wear wheel and clean that off. This spring latch is got to be removed. It is really crusty. And let's see what else here. We got some cracks over here. I've got to straighten out. I welded after I put some body filler on here. I welded again, and it ended up cracking that joint. So we'll just get that taken care of again. So let's see if I can flip this thing over without dropping it. That would be great. It's a little awkward. All right, and I do have it. I don't know, what is this from? But it was leaning up against some boxes. I'll see that. So it's got a coat of epoxy primer on it, so it's sealed. But I think I'm going to go over it one more time, at least in these creases, these body lines, and it's really not too bad. I guess I did a better job than I thought before I set it to the side. That's not bad. I'll scuff it and then just prep it for urethane primer. It's a little, I must have been leaning up against something that before it was fully cured. We'll make it all nice. So let me get the sander. First thing first, I'm going to work on this roof because I just want to get it out of the way. As I was getting set up to do some sanding, I remembered I bought a speed sensor that goes into the transmission. And so this came in, and it apparently has a through bolt to keep it mounted. It's this bolt, this hole. And so I tried, it looks like it's a 1/4-20 opening, but I should put a little bit of oil in here. I tried a 1/4-20 bolt, and it goes in part way, and it's like the thread it's got a different thread. It's probably metric, like everything else on here. But I think I'm going to make it a 1/4-20. And so I'm going to tap out that hole and make these 1/4-20 work. So let me get some oil and straighten this out. Be fine on this O-ring. As if there's any oil on this can. Yeah, there's some. Just a little bit. Just to keep it sealed. Could have used transmission fluid too, but I don't have one open. So everything is clean. Put that in there. And then let's tap this hole. Just put a little bit of oil on that tap. I don't know how deep the threads are. We'll get a bolt in there just so it holds this sensor from flying out. Okay, that might be enough. All right, so it's about that much threads that I put in. It's probably like, I don't know, 1/2, 5/8, something like that. And I have some, I thought I had some stainless steel hardware. I don't, but I'll use a grade 8 with a nut on it as a lockdown, and then it'll keep it snugged up. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea if I put some Loctite on there too. All right, so that's not going to go anywhere. So then wiring harness will just plug in there and be done with it. All right, let's get back to sanding. If you've been following along and remember sand some of the fenders and the rest of the truck, the running boards, they were in really nasty shape. The hood was fairly rotted out, but it was still get to the point where I could repair it. Now I was hoping that this roof isn't dented in too badly, and it's not. It's got a nice patina actually, and it's a shame. If the rest of the truck had this patina, I was going to keep it that way. But because I had to buy new fenders and new running board, go ahead and just make it nice. So I'm gonna have to sand it down. There's a nice little dent here. Nothing's creased, but it's dented. Let me see if I can get up. Stand up here in the front. Get a better look at the front edge. The front edge is pretty decent. There's a little bump here. And of course, there's some care that has to be taken here. We've got a little rotted out hole, and I repaired this rotted out hole, welded in some little patches. But the roof, not too bad. Probably just be sand it, seal it, and then put a skim coat on it, seal it again. The drip rails are not too bad at all. I did clean these up, and I hit them with some rust eliminator, and then hit some self-etching primer. That's what the screen is. So, all right, not bad at all. Got the cow, pretty decent shape here. Got some repairs done. This whole area, I feel a little bump here. That's gonna be another little spot of body color, but it's in not terrible shape. So this is just a little bit of sanding I just did. It seems like the buffer, variable speed buffer with a sanding disc works the best. It takes more material off than the angle grinder with the sanding disc, or even the 80 grit on the palm sander. So I think I'm going to continue with this, with a variable speed buffer, and see how much of this I can get. There's some pitting, a little bit deeper rust here. So when I get it sanded down, I'm going to cover it over with the rust neutralizer, and then that'll be an overnight dry. So I'm just going to get as much done here as I can, and then it's probably going to be several disc pads later. This is still, yeah, it's still pretty rough. So it's got life into it. And all right, I'm gonna try to get this finished up, and I'll get back with you after I'm done. This job is ridiculously dirty. There's a film of dust all over the garage. So I'm gonna sweep it and blow out the garage with a leaf blower. But let me show you how the roof looks and the hood. The hood, I gave it a nice scuff of using an old 120 sandpaper piece and finding low spots. So there's a couple here, I marked them with tape. But in general, the hood looks in pretty good shape. Not bad. On the roof, I didn't dust it off yet, but we got it as clean as possible. And there's a lot of rust and dust, which will get off of there. I'm going to clean out the garage and dust off this top, wipe it down with Windex to get all the dust and grit out. And then I'll hit it with some Ospro rust reducer treatment. But in the meantime, we can see that on the front edge of the roof, it looks pretty straight, very straight from ground level. There's one little, barely can feel it. But that looks really good. The posts look good. On the driver's side, there's a couple low spots, but not terribly bad. You can see it in the glare from the lights, that it's relatively straight. Just a little bit there. And then on the back side, it looks real good too, but there's more, like, I don't know, 6-8 inches up. There's more small dents. But on this front edge, or the back edge, that when you're standing here, you're not going to be able to see the top side of the roof. Here, there's some dents, but in any event, I'm going to float the entire roof with a thin body filler and then block sand it all down, and we should be in good shape. But in the meantime, I gotta clean up here. There is dust and grit everywhere. It's a dirty, filthy job, but somebody's got to do it. All right, so we got to clean off this roof, and I'm going to use, I got everything sanded as well as I could, and got the garage cleaned out, got the window out, and it is a filthy, dirty mess. But I'm going to use this handy sprayer, Windex, and wipe off the roof. I've seen some other guys use these little sprayers, and it is nice because the nozzles, typically the nozzles on some of the spray bottles that you buy just wear out, and they just don't work, so they get stuck, and then you're trying to get the liquid out in the spray, and it just doesn't work out. So these, you know, for a few bucks, less than $10, you can get these spray bottles, and they work very nice. We'll get this cleaned off, and you can see how much rust and grit, even though I washed it off or wiped it with a dry rag. This just gets a lot of a lot of junk off here. So let me get this other side cleaned and I'll show you. Now we can get a better idea how bad some of these dents are. But this is, it's all wet from Windex wiping it down. I use Windex because it has alcohol in it all. It's sort of a degreaser and cleaner. But we'll let that dry. And then we'll get on this OSPO rust treatment. And this works pretty well. I've done around the door jambs and where it was a little crusty, sanded it down, and it turns out pretty well. So get a good idea how straight this thing is, sort of. It's kind of hard to tell with some of the spots of paint that are left on there. And this paint was hard. Oh, it was white and also, it kind of looks bluish, greenish, but I'm not sure. I'm colorblind and I can't tell certain colors sometimes. There it kind of looks greenish. But anyway, let's let this dry. And I'll put a coat of rust treatment on it and let it go. We got the roof OSPO on it. It dried. I scuffed it up with 120 sandpaper, and then I sprayed it with self-etching primer. And so now I'm going to work on getting some of these dents on the back side of the cab. And it looks like probably there were, boards and whatever laying and knocking on top of this. So it's pretty ripply in the back side. And then on the passenger side, it's really not too bad at all. On the driver's side, there's a couple good indentations right there, but in general, not bad. So I'll get some of the new body filler on there, and it's one big skim coat. I may do it from, like a foot in front of the back edge, down to the back edge, and then maybe something similar on the front. The front's pretty good after checking it out. There's a little one there, but not terribly bad. So I'm happy about that. It just means a lot less sanding. And there's a little indentation right there. So, but not bad at all. All right, let's see how it all goes. And once this is done, the majority of the bodywork is finished. The back bed and the box is all brand new. Running boards and fenders are all brand new. So, not bad at all. I'm happy that I'm getting closer to the end of doing body work. And the hood, there's a few small little indentations we'll straighten out. So there we have it. So I'm going to use this the new can of Evercoat to flood the top of the roof or the back edge, and I'm gonna go by the process that Chad Hiltz from Bad Chad YouTube channel uses. He uses a lot of body filler to flood a large area. It's not necessarily thick, but he floods the area, and his philosophy is you're gonna have to be sanding it anyway, so instead of making multiple batches of filler, do one batch and just flood it all. So I'm gonna try it. I don't usually make a big batch of body filler because it takes me a while to work it, and by the time I get towards the end, it's starting to solidify. So you kind of have to work fast, and so we'll give it a try. So I've got a nice blob here, and just a line of activator, and we'll work it in. So I'm going to do this spot where the old gas cap had been, because we don't need it anymore, and there was a low spot there. People say don't use cardboard to mix your filler. I always use cardboard because that's what I have. I don't have a palette to use. So cardboard works. It doesn't absorb a lot of moisture, not in my opinion. I've never had any adverse effects from it. So, all right. I think it's mixed pretty well. I'm gonna get this spot first. There's a spot there. All right, now the fun begins on the roof. I'll have to try to find general vicinity. Right here. Do have a little bit of time to work with this filler. Doesn't. Man, there's a big spot over here. That's definitely gonna have to be. Not too bad. The majority of this gets sanded off anyway. And just use a little bit of this back here. Up there. I have to get a new This one is kind of warped and twisted. That one. And I can't even feel that one either. Oh, yeah, there it is. All right. And I'm going to fill in this gap on both sides. Trick is to work it. It's a lot easier working with it when it's still soft compared to after it's dried and cured. But still takes some work. All right. Do the same on the other joint. I have just enough left over. All right. So that's how we're going to do that. And it's just a matter of let this set up, cure, sand it, take a look at it again, see where the low spots are, and do it all over again with body filler sanding until it is just straight. And I'll block sand this with probably my 18-inch soft block. And that does a good job. So that'll be the back edge. This seam, I'm going to put in some seam sealer and that'll be the finished edge. I don't know if there was seam sealer in there to begin with from the factory. I kind of doubt it because there's just a little bit of rust in there, and but we're going to seam seal that. And so that's what we're doing for now. I'm going to end this video since it's starting to get a little bit long and is kind of a boring subject, but you know, I hope that it helps some guys out there. And it's a good point of reference for me. When I look at the documentation of my projects, this is the reason that I make these videos, so that I know what I did, when I did it, and then if there's a potential buyer, when I do get around to selling these projects, there's the evidence of what the truck is built from. So I want to thank everybody for watching and hanging in there with me. And if you could, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button and like button and the notification button. And I'll be putting out more videos. I'm going to continue on here, and we'll see you the next time. Thanks a lot.